The Cold War was a period of geopolitical tension and ideological conflict between the United States and the Soviet Union, along with their respective allies, from the end of World War II until the early 1990s. It was characterized by political, economic, and military rivalry, as well as a nuclear arms race. Origins of the Cold War. The origins of the Cold War can be traced back to the end of World War II, when the wartime alliance between the United States, the Soviet Union, and other Allied powers started to deteriorate. The fundamental differences in political ideologies and conflicting national interests contributed to the tensions that would define the Cold War. Yalta Conference and division of Europe. One significant event that set the stage for the Cold War was the Yalta Conference held in February 1945. During this conference, leaders from the United States, Soviet Union, and Britain met to discuss post-war Europe. The agreements reached at Yalta, such as the division of Germany into occupation zones and allowing Eastern European countries to hold free elections, were later perceived differently by both sides and contributed to growing mistrust. Iron Curtain and containment policy. In a speech delivered in 1946, former British Prime Minister Winston Churchill coined the term Iron Curtain to describe the division between Western Europe and Eastern Europe under Soviet influence. This metaphorical division reflected the growing ideological divide between capitalist democracies led by the United States and communist countries under Soviet control. The United States adopted a policy of containment aimed at preventing further Soviet expansion and influence. Truman Doctrine and Marshall Plan. To counter Soviet influence in Europe, President Harry S. Truman introduced the Truman Doctrine in 1947. This policy pledged U.S. support to any country facing external aggression or internal communist subversion. In conjunction with this doctrine, the United States implemented the Marshall Plan, which provided economic aid to war-torn European countries. These initiatives aimed to stabilize Europe and prevent the spread of communism. Berlin blockade and airlift. In 1948, the Soviet Union blockaded West Berlin, cutting off all land access to the city in an attempt to gain control over the entire city. In response, the United States and its allies launched the Berlin Airlift, a massive operation to supply West Berlin with food, fuel, and other necessities via air transport. This successful operation not only ensured the survival of West Berlin but also demonstrated Western determination against Soviet aggression. NATO and Warsaw Pact. In 1949, the United States and several Western European countries formed the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO. NATO was a military alliance aimed at collective defense against potential Soviet aggression. In response, the Soviet Union and its Eastern European satellite states established the Warsaw Pact in 1955 as a counterbalance to NATO. These alliances intensified military tensions between the two blocs. Arms race and nuclear deterrence. The Cold War witnessed a significant arms race between the United States and the Soviet Union. Both sides developed and stockpiled vast arsenals of nuclear weapons, leading to a state of mutually assured destruction, MAD. The fear of nuclear annihilation served as a deterrent against direct military confrontation between the superpowers but also heightened tensions during various crises throughout the Cold War. Proxy wars. Instead of direct conflict between the United States and the Soviet Union, many conflicts during the Cold War were fought indirectly through proxy wars. These proxy wars took place in various regions such as Korea, Vietnam, Angola, and Afghanistan. The superpowers supported opposing factions in these conflicts, providing military aid and resources to their respective allies. Détente and arms control. In the 1970s, both superpowers sought to ease tensions through a period known as détente. This period witnessed negotiations on arms control agreements, such as the Strategic Arms Limitation Talks, SALT, and the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty, ABM. These agreements aimed to limit the growth of nuclear arsenals and reduce the risk of accidental nuclear war. End of the Cold War. The Cold War came to an end in the late 1980s and early 1990s. Several factors contributed to its conclusion, including political changes within the Soviet Union, economic struggles, and the efforts of reformist leaders like Mikhail Gorbachev. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 symbolized the end of the division between East and West, leading to the reunification of Germany. In 1991, the Soviet Union itself dissolved, marking the formal end of the Cold War.